Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer. Welcome to the Impactful Engineer. Our mission is to help you grow your engineering career and inspire you to pursue your full potential as not only an engineering professional, but as a member of your greater community. I'm Steve Maxey, and I'm an engineering manager in new product development for Klein Tools, a large professional hand tool manufacturer. And my brother Jake is a professional engineer for Hallam ICS, a company that provides multiple engineering services, including mechanical, electrical, and process design for the built environment. How you doing, Mr. Jake?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I got my kombucha.
Excellent.
I got my cozy little office here.
Yeah.
Feeling good. Yeah. Tomorrow is not like a quote unquote work day. And that doesn't in itself like excite me. But the fact that I don't have to do that and I get to get some projects done around here is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I'm not one to have the Sunday scaries or anything like that. I just go and work and do and have fun. But tomorrow's special because I get to go out and finish the shed, get the roof done, get the siding up. It's a nice little project that we can make some progress on, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, and then weather's like super nice where you're at, right?
And it's going to be super nice tomorrow. The only reason I didn't do it today is because the little storm's coming through, and then tomorrow's going to be great.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Some labor on Labor Day.
Yeah.
Perfect way to celebrate.
That's right.
Swing a hammer.
Yeah, it's here it's nice in the morning, but then it gets, around 100 degrees or so in the afternoon. So,
God, I miss that baking heat, though. I just,
yeah.
Whenever I visit you in the summer, I'm just like, hallelujah. And you're like frying, and I'm like, I love this.
Well, we grew up in this stuff.
The pavement sticking to your feet, like as you walk, Yeah, crack an egg on the sidewalk. Perfect.
Well, I mean, the joints feel great when it's hot out. Right, because everything's nice and loose and everything. When it gets cold here in the winters, it's like everything feels all like creaky and achy, and it's like
that's cold being old, dude.
I know.
You just showing your age.
I know that's what happens when you're past 40 and the temperature goes below like 50.
You wouldn't make it out here, man.
I know. That's why I live here. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and do our housekeeping here. This podcast has a few episode types, right? Our standard one is like today, which is Jake and I are presenting a topic. We introduce the why and the how around that topic and give some tips to get the conversation going and inspire some action.
Second episode type is a quick solo type episode where just one of us will get on and share a passionate subject that we have. We will promise until the end of time that we're going to do a lot of those and then never do them. So look forward to that.
They're like more like surprise. Yeah, and finally, about once a month, we do have our long format guest episodes where we bring experts in a particular field to share their perspective, mindset, and actionable tips around their area of genius. Also, if you want a certain perspective on a specific topic, or you can reach out to us on LinkedIn under our names or simply email us at questions@impactfulengineer.com. And then lastly, if you do love the show today, if you learned something, or you even think that someone else could hear our point of view, please share the show. It's the best way that we can grow the podcast and continue to create value and an impact for the engineering community.
Yeah, man. I like to add to that, we're on a path. We're at a certain level. We're doing a certain thing right now and sharing that. And I can only imagine that there are multiple others that are on the same path that could come in, get to know us a little bit, learn something, and then move on their trajectory somewhere else, but perhaps have taken something with them. We do that kind of stuff all the time. So it's really what the show's for.
Absolutely.
Come in, give it a listen. If it's something for you or it's for someone that they could use it, just let them know.
Yeah. So today,
I love this topic.
Yeah, this is a fun one. So yeah, we'll jump right into it. Jake and I have been talking all week about momentum. It's a really fun topic, and it applies to not just engineering fields, but everyone across the globe. So as engineers, though, we like to think in equations, right?
At least you do, Stephen.
Yeah, I know I do. I'm bringing another equation here. So we all know momentum equals mass times velocity. But here at Impactful Engineer, we like to take a spin on equations.
Yes.
So momentum is impact times consistency. So, Mr. Jake, I want you to think about that equation and tell me what you think of momentum and what it is.
Yeah, having felt it myself, really, this unseen force in your career that kind of bolsters you, lifts you up, gives you a strength to keep moving in the direction that you want to go, is really kind of how I define that. Of course, it's purposely built and maintained, which is going to be this equation that we get to use, which is so cool. But to me, the ability to, once you have this momentum, your ability to crush things in front of you just becomes increasingly easier and easier and easier. And then you even get to this one big thing that you know you need to tackle that's going to completely derail your momentum. But at least when you smash into it, you're like 70% of the way through it. Like you got that brick wall and you've got a big old crack going through it. You know what I mean? And some things that you do in your career that you tackle will hurt your momentum. But you can choose to use the momentum that you have to tackle that thing, get through it when it otherwise would have taken you so much longer, like orders of magnitude longer, and that could have adverse effects on your career. But you've gained so much momentum that you're like, all right, now's the time, right? So think of like, I don't know, an easy one could be like your PE test, right? Which if you build enough momentum and have enough consistency over time with high impact activities, that test, which is how I went into it, I took it 7 years after I started because I was in no rush. I mean, I looked at all of the pluses and minuses and pros and cons of getting my PE, and it's like, why would I try to do that and suffer to get it just to have it right now? So I gained so much momentum through intentional time and effort in tasks and activities of an electrical engineer in the construction industry. I had great mentors. I spent a lot of consistent time just day in and day out learning these skills and stacking them, right? So when I went to take my PE test, I had huge momentum. I literally studied a little bit, right? Drove down to Sacramento, took the 8-hour test, drove back. It was easy. I was like, I had no question in my mind that I didn't pass that test. Passed the test, got my license. Huge momentum, and it was just easy to crash right through that. And I maintained a ton of my momentum through that. So that's how I see career momentum in the MEP industry.
Yeah. So if you didn't have that momentum, this would be like if you would have stayed working at pizza, right? Not doing engineering things, and then trying to cram study for this in 2 nights and then trying to go take this test. That would have been very low momentum.
Right. Yep. And more applicable towards like the EIT for us, because that's all academic. But yeah, for sure. Like that's an extreme obvious example, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Mr. Obvious show.
I like to go to the extremes because it really just helps paint the concept, right?
It makes the point so simple, right? And much of life, as we've always talked about, is very simple. People just don't do it, right? And mainly just because of distractions and falsities and mindset things that convince them not to. But that's a whole other story for a different day. But yeah, working pizza and then trying to take the EIT, it's like, that's why I say take the EIT as close as possible to school, or even if your school makes you take it before you can graduate, that's perfect. But take that really close, because as that time expands where you're not consistent in that one area, guess what happens to your momentum? It goes down, right?
Yeah. I'm actually really thankful that my school required the taking of the test, the EIT, to graduate. You didn't have to pass, but you had to take it to graduate. And I studied for like 4 hours before taking it, but I was in school. I was a senior and, just going through all the classes. So I really didn't need to study all that much and passed it my first shot. So, it's a good example of utilizing the momentum that you've already built over the past however many years to just roll right into the next challenge. And, you might make some small tweaks to overcome the specifics of that challenge, but you'll be able to get right through it. No problem.
Yeah. Did you give us you gave us the equation. Did you give us, do you have like a more thought-felt, more words behind your description of momentum, or is it the equation?
So the thought process is Instead of velocity, right, it's consistency, right? Continually taking action onto something will get you accustomed to doing it. And so you build that momentum in execution, where impact is the larger amount of effort each time you take action and you consistently do that, the more momentum that you can actually build. So, I used an example earlier, right, in a diet frame of reference, right? If you are just eating your vegetables, right, you're just going to change your daily intake to I'm eating broccoli once a day. Yes, it'll impact your health in a small incremental way, and you'll build that little bit of momentum there. But if you completely overhaul your diet and you consistently do that diet all the time, that builds massive momentum in your health. So that's why the impact level of what you're consistently doing will increase momentum overall.
Yeah. Over the same, keeping the consistency the same too.
Yeah. The same
So
consistency over the same time horizon.
yeah, I don't know how
So
much you can up your consistency. Would that be frequency? I know we're getting in the weeds here.
yeah, I mean, sure. If are you eating that broccoli once a week? Are you eating it once a day? I mean that's your change in consistency, right?
Hmm.
Another example, health related, is cheat meals, right? If you are executing on your diet and your exercise 5 days a week, but you take weekends off, right, to drink alcohol and eat cake and lay on a couch like a fat slob, um,
Right.
if you're doing that, you're losing that momentum because you're not being as consistent, right? If you stick to your health and your exercise every single day, then you're going to build up that momentum.
Yeah, and you're getting that low impact cake too, so that's going down. That is very low impact. That is not a high impact.
Yes.
That is like negative impact. This is yeah. All right, so I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. Now that we've defined it, though, you're wondering
How,
like, because you don't just go from zero to momentum, like
oh,
zero to
absolutely
like,
not.
oh, I got all the momentum in the world. So you got to create it somehow, right?
Yes.
And I like to think of the best way to create momentum is the laziest, easiest way possible. Because I like being efficient and taking the easy way, which sometimes turns into the hard way, which also might be the right path. But I like to take it one small step at a time. So I've found out over the years that if I use my willpower to get myself moving on, let's just stay with the working out and the diet and all that, if I just go from doing nothing, not caring about health at all, to working out 5 days a week and eating right, that takes a lot of willpower. You have no momentum. Nothing is moving, and all of a sudden you're just doing all this stuff. All right? So you've effectively added like this rocket booster of willpower, and just it's a one-shot thing, and then you're moving. But if you continue to use the willpower as your only source, you don't have it after a week or two. You don't have that willpower, the discipline, So then you start to peter off. So what I've found, and that's a cyclical thing, so what I found that works a lot better for me is small wins over time that stack and compound to keep your momentum high through discipline, consistency, and willpower is almost not even a factor. Willpower comes into play on like quote unquote test days when you're supposed to run that day when the weather's shit outside, your feet hurt, your shoes are falling apart, you haven't eaten enough carbs, you've worked your ass off that day because you had to run after work instead of before work. Your family wants you to, it's dinner time, so you have all these conflicting things. Then that's when like the willpower and I guess some sort of form of discipline as well, but you just put the damn shoes on and you step the hell outside and you start running. That's when you can deploy some of that just pure grit so that your momentum doesn't drop. But it's not the pure grit and just like the pure willpower, in my opinion, that's going to keep you in the long term. You have to have those systems in place. And small wins over time, I think, is the way to do it. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. In the good times is where the momentum just carries you, right? The hard times is where you have to inject that extra discipline. And going back to like how do we create it, I really do think it's implementing the smaller things, right? Let's eat vegetables a little bit every day to start getting used to that momentum. And then okay, now I'm going to eat a little more protein, and now I'm going to cut out soda, and now I'm going to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So you do those incremental steps, and then by the time you're 2 months down the road, now you have overhauled your complete diet and outlook on health, and it's much easier to keep going, especially during those test days.
Yeah, because
And
you're just go ahead.
no, I was just going to define what test days were, because we keep referencing this. Test days are those days that nothing goes right. Everything is put up in front of you as a barrier for you completing what you're trying to complete. Whether it's health, or whether it's your job, or relationships. There's always something that is going to put you to the test to see if you can get through it, and that's what a test day is. And usually that is where you pull from your willpower reserves to get through those test days and then maintain that momentum. And a lot of times those test days will knock your momentum down a little bit, right? They detract from it. And then that's when you have to use that willpower and discipline to ramp it back up the following day and get through it.
Yeah. And just to keep everything kind of really simple, it's get yourself moving and then start stacking those small wins, and you're going to have momentum over time. And to keep it, you may have to deploy some willpower or discipline on those test days, right? To keep it going. And I would just say as a general, so now we're kind of like, we've gotten over how to create it. I think we laid out two simple things to create it. How do we maintain it? Do you want to move into that?
Well, let's go into a couple personal examples. Like, how did you originally create your momentum?
That's a good question. I know that, first of all, over the last 15 years, it's been created and destroyed many times. I was learning. Over the last 5 years or so, it's been, well, I would say even maybe 3 to 4 years. It's been slowly building and never retracting, and getting bigger and bigger and bigger as I go forward. And so what are the main ways that in this season of my life, have I created this momentum? Well, one is I've gotten rid of a lot of decision making from my life, which inherently creates focus. So I've created a strategy for myself, which strategy inherently means that you are going to say no to a lot of things because you have a strategy. And if it's not in that strategy, you're not going to do it, right? So I've really doubled down on that. I've collected evidence over the last 20 years of my life of the things that derail me from my goals and that derail me from the direction that I want to go. So just through life. So I can objectively look back and know that certain things are going to take me from the direction I'm going and decrease my momentum. So I just try to clear my headspace of all of that stuff. And it's life stuff, one of them was the alcohol. It's I just got rid of it because it was too much decision making, too much brain power, too much energy loss, too much theft of my ability to do the things that I really wanted to do. In exchange for these in the moment, totally, we've done a good job today. Let's go have some drinks and stuff. I've just gotten rid of that. So that's one example. I don't have that argument anymore. I don't think about it. It's easy. So clearing my thought table of things that just don't even have any influence on getting my goals done is one of the things. One of the others is just I don't track my wins anymore, but in the beginning I did. I tracked a list of activities to do that I knew would build momentum and then do them no matter what. I did a lot of that out of straight willpower for a long time, which is why I kept failing over and over again until I set my life up in my environment around me to support that, right? So, and just to be real, a lot of it is relationships and family. A lot of it is addictions and crutches that you don't know you have or don't realize you have. And I would say a third one is removing distractions. So family and relationships, aligning, talking, communicating. This is what I want out of life, right? And this is what I think is good for our family. And so we talk about it. There's reasons why we're doing certain things. And you go all the way down to and it's getting in the weeds, but you go all the way down to the micro. Why did we argue about this yesterday? Why is this a problem when I need to execute on this for you? That's a real question. What do I need to do to support you better for your goals that will allow me to integrate our goals together so that I can get mine done and you can get yours done and we can get our family unit goals and what we're doing in alignment to support everything, this whole output, this whole momentum we're trying to build. That was a big one. And then getting rid of the crutches and the addictions. Alcohol was one of them. Playing video games was another one. It's just time sucks from your life, and I'm willing to get rid of those, so I did. Not everybody is. And then I forget what the third one is that I said, but I think it was something along the lines of removing distractions. So saying no to things. There's a lot of things that people want you to do because they feel like they need to get it off their chest and have you help them somehow. That's one of them. There's things that, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was going to say another thing is, and it's not, a lot of people will come to you with what they think is a great opportunity for you, right? Like, oh, this thing would be excellent for your career development or excellent for, your fun even, etc. And, it's all with good intention. But if it's not in alignment with your goals or like what you're trying to move forward, you have to say no, right? And that's, I think that's a big problem a lot of younger engineers face these days, is that, they're working towards this goal, they're working really hard, and then there's this other new opportunity that sounds super fantastic, and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great, let's go do that. And then they take a back step in their career development because now they're focused on this thing completely different. And all that momentum that they've built towards their original goal is lost. It's just completely derailed.
Yes, that is such a big one. And I just wrote about it this morning, actually. And it was about money. Mm-hmm. It could be many things. But the thing that I was writing my thoughts down on this morning was about money. You'll get, I was recommending that the first 3 to 5 years of your career should be focused on technical subject matter, become an expert, especially in my field, know the systems, what does what, what's the solution for this particular situation, how to do the calcs, how to become a great MEP engineer, technically. Spend time outside of work developing your soft skills and personal development on your own time, because that'll become important. Mm-hmm. But I was saying, so here's where the money comes in. It's like, oh, so you're focusing, you're growing. And then all of a sudden you hear about your friends making 10 to 15 to 20,000 more, and they're in the quote unquote same class as you, and they're the same equivalent as you, and they're making more money, and that will distract the hell out of people. It'll make them think that they're behind. Oh, and then what is that 10 to 20 grand over a year taxed gonna do for you? Fucking nothing. What is ignoring that and continuing to grow and double down on stacking skills gonna do for you? Everything, including, if you want it to, contribute to you making thousands and thousands of more dollars and blowing by the person that took the early career jump, all right? So that's what I was writing about. Now, there's all these, there's tons of facts and things outside of that. There's fine. And in certain situations, for example, if where you are is not giving you the appropriate attention and opportunity to grow your technical skills, and then you have a job over here that'll pay you $10,000 more, and there are growth opportunities, fuck yeah, take that job every day of the week, baby. Go do it. I'm just saying. Don't allow the distraction of your guy going, oh yeah, I'm making this much more. Well, good for you. And if that makes you feel better, I'm happy for you. I'm going to stay in this company that I'm at right now because there is tons of opportunity to grow technically. And that was the only point I was going to make.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we are anymore.
Yeah, you're driving towards a whole nother topic that I really want to talk about, but we got to save that for the next episode.
Okay, let's get back on track. How do we, so some examples of how we created momentum. How about you? Real quick, give us, what's your fave?
I knew you'd have an awesome answer for that. That's why I really wanted to ask you first. I love that, especially about how you learned that early on you would build momentum and then you would get distracted, or you would have things that would derail that momentum, and then you would basically be starting from square one again. And then so you went through these phases of discipline and momentum, and then crashing, and then discipline, momentum, and crashing. And then now you've figured out how to get around that, and just now you're at a more continual basis of momentum building without those distractions and forks in the road that you're getting rid of. So that is awesome.
And it feels so good.
Oh yeah.
Because now when the perceived things that I'm missing out on come across my radar again, first of all, I don't even see them.
You're just like,
and then when other people talk about them, it makes me feel so good that I'm out of that and where I am now. I've grown, and it doesn't affect me at all. Like, oh, you're missing out on all these things and all this. Like, no, I'm not. I have gained clarity and focus around what I actually love to do in this world, and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So it feels good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So originally you're the one who kind of brought this whole topic and concept to my awareness, right? And that was through 75 Hard and Andy Frisella podcast, all that kind of stuff. And it was at a time where, I mean, and we've covered this on the show before, where I was really heavy, then I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic, and I had to just change my entire life. And it was a willpower thing that got me through it, to do the change. But with the conversations that we had through the podcast that I was listening to, and then ultimately going into 75 Hard, that's when I learned about how to build momentum, consistency, and the discipline to just keep going no matter what happens that day. And that's really how I developed it in the first place. Because before that, I was pure just willpower only, but that willpower wasn't even that strong. And I had zero discipline on carrying through things, and that's why early in my career, kind of back to this other subject, I did a lot of job hopping because of that, right? I was like, ooh, shiny thing, squirrel, and going over here and doing this, and then going over here and doing that. And it was not great for the beginning of my career to do that. But I lacked that focus and that momentum building understanding, right? So I mean, that's how I initially created it. Though, was I had a life event that kicked me in the ass and was like, you need to change it or you're going to be screwed. So it was like,
Yeah, I heard an analogy the other day on a podcast, because I'm an avid podcast listener, that sometimes it takes a cat being placed behind you and you're the mouse.
Yep.
For you to run a little bit faster. So if you can, I think about that every once in a while. It's like, what am I doing right now that I have a blind spot in that I don't see the cat?
Yeah. Are you chasing the cheese?
Making you run a little faster.
Yeah. Or being chased.
Are you chasing the cheese or are you running from the cat? I think it's both. I think both is really good for you. But we can talk about that later.
Hey, my fellow impactful engineers. If there's one thing that you could do to help out this community, it's to keep listening to the podcast, but also that if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
Oh yeah. So enough about creating. Let's talk about how do you maintain it? How do you maintain momentum, Jake?
By not putting things in your environment that will distract from it. So, engineering example, you're a first-year engineer in the MEP field, and I can only talk about that because it's the only thing I know.
Absolutely.
And you are learning how to draw stuff in the software, and you're learning panel board, branch circuiting, sizing, and you're learning about breakers and all the rules, and that's good. That's your technical subject matter expertise that you're going to be building there, okay? And then someone comes along and says, oh, you're like 6 months in outside your company. And says, you know what, you'd be great over here at this engineering firm. We treat our people like da-da-da-da. You'll learn da-da-da-da-da. You'll get da-da-da-da. And they're headhunting you, right? So it happens at the 1 year, the 3 year, they're always, which is good news for people chasing their engineering degree, is that they're in high demand right now. So that's really good news for you, especially in the industry I'm in, people always looking. So let's say that you go, okay, so I want an interview, and you're completely getting derailed by a process that may or may not yield fruit, and ignoring the thing right in front of your face, that if you stayed consistent every day, that you would gain so many skills, right? So don't allow the shiny object syndrome to come in and take your attention away. I would really focus for a long time, as long as the opportunities are there for you, all right? And they help you build that momentum, and you help yourself, all right? So that's one example. One good example from the workout world is I do not stock my house with beer, right? And I don't put potato chips and cookies around myself every single day.
Because you will devour them.
Because I have no self-control, and I've identified that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't go to the grocery store when I'm hungry, and I don't buy a bunch of shit to put in my house and surround myself with crap, because I'll eat it. Now, I got a family, and they enjoy having, my wife drinks and enjoys having some wine every once in a while, but it's not continually stocked in the house. So we've decided that we're going to buy one-use items. And with the kids too, it's like I love making desserts. I'm a baker, so I make cookies and brownies and cupcakes all the time. But I make sure that I just pare my recipes down to where it's a one dessert family night serving. Because when I'd be making batches, which is what most recipes are, I would create this whole thing and I'd store them and then I'd go, oh, they're over there, and I'd go eat them. Yeah. So I just make one use items. So I just put things in place in my environment and take actions with intent that will create the impact I want to apply to my consistency so my momentum stays high. That's
perfect. Yeah. I love the batch recipe concept, right? Just paring it down for that. Okay, we're going to have dessert tonight, so this is all I'm making. Because every grandma out there, every mom out there, every dad out there, like they just want to make a gigantic hoard of cookies for their kids or grandkids, etc.
Heck yeah!
And then it's sitting around for 2 weeks, and you're just like, oh, why don't you grab a cookie?
Man, have I had 8 cookies over the last 3 days? That sets me back for the last 2 weeks in calories of my deficit that I had or my maintenance.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even know it. Yeah. So things like that happen in your career too. Like you can get derailed by this interview process. You go through it, you don't get selected, and then there was a 6-week deal. You thought a lot about your resume. You really it was on your mind. So you've lost 6 weeks and perhaps deadened your momentum, and then you got to start over. So you've probably lost 2 to 3 months out of your career. So just really think about that. Right?
I love that.
I used to think no. I used to think completely opposite, but it's just I'm telling you, I've experienced it. It's true.
Yeah.
All right. There are good reasons to take another job. We're not saying don't do that. Just trying to lay out the momentum thing.
Yeah, we're going to cover that on an episode very soon.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic. So
how are you maintaining your momentum, Steve?
Kind of going back to what you said earlier, right? It's just paring down the decision making, right? It just becomes habits, right? I get up, I take my cold shower. I don't even think about it. I just do it. And really that's the simplest and easiest way to maintain momentum is taking out the decision making process of it. So you already covered it in detail, so I don't want to get too crazy into it, but setting up routines, right? What do you do in the morning before you go to work? What do you do before you go to bed, after you get home from work? And then what do you do at work? When do you check your emails? When do you have meetings? When do you have your focus time? I'm a big fan of block scheduling, right? If I like to do all my focus work in the morning and all my meetings in the afternoon. Now, it doesn't always work out because other people have their own preferences and they'll schedule meetings all over the freaking place. But intentionally trying to minimize the decision-making process throughout your entire day, home and work, is the easiest way to maintain that momentum because you just keep going. You keep going. It's like, oh, it's noon, it's lunchtime, up, it's 1, it's meeting time, up, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, it's time to get deep into a project, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really how I've been able to maintain momentum over the past however many years. And it's just because it's mindless, right? And then the nice thing about that is without all that decision-making, exhausting your energy throughout the day, now you have all this extra energy to focus on the things you really want to focus on, whether it's a project at work or if it's something else outside of work, or even if it's just being intentional and present with your family when you get home. You have so much more energy throughout the entire day because you're removing that anxiety of decision making.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of practice. We're not saying that you're going to get that right away.
No, it's not a light switch.
You get it. Yeah. I mean, you can take our word for it and definitely don't do the things we said that would derail you. Like you could do that for sure. But the one thing you're going to realize is that in the end, you have to do the things that work for you. Now, don't take your results or the way you feel and say, this is not for me because you don't know how to do it. All right.
Yeah,
I'm not saying do that, but your cold shower thing in the morning, that's perfect for you. I would never take a fucking cold shower because dude, no way. But I still get up and I still do my thing.
Yeah,
it's just the thing that's worked for you, right? Mm-hmm. Find what works for you and use the principles in this guiding equation to figure out how you get there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what else was in our notes for today?
Well, one thing that I don't know I wanted to make sure I cover that the second, the kind of general category that will derail you is if you get a good routine set up and you're killing it, and for no other reason you just kind of missed a couple days or 3 days. It's like really try to put that trigger in a way to track that if you missed too much momentum building activities that day, that you don't let that same happen again the next day. And I found that it's really 2 to 3 days max. It'll be really, really hard to get going again. It'll take that extra effort. And if you do too many cycles of that, you'll burn yourself out on the extra effort to get back up to speed again. So just do yourself a favor and don't let it go too far for multiple days in a row.
Yeah. I think a good way to visualize this is something that Andy Frisella came out with, which is what he calls the power list, right? And you just do 5 critical tasks that you write down in a journal that you have to do that day to move yourself forward, whether it's career or life, etc. And at the end of the day, you write a W or an L on that sheet of paper, right? And you do it like in a physical journal is recommended, so you can visually like look through and you have something that represents your momentum that's tangible, right? So every page you have these 3 things or 5 things, and then you check them off as you go through the day, and you try to get to them as fast as you can through the day. So that way you alleviate that pressure of having to feel accomplished for the day, right? And then you have your W for wins and L's for losses for that day. And then, did you win the week? Did you win the month? Did you win the year, etc.? It's very, very simple concept. I know there's a lot of other ways to do it, but that's one that's worked well for me.
Yeah, I've used that. I used that for years.
Yeah.
I track a little differently now, but because my momentum's kind of just like a given. I don't want to say that too loudly, but it kind of is. Put that in the universe. Yeah, I tracked like that for a long time. The one thing that I think I messed up for myself was that I just put too difficult of tasks in the 5. I didn't break them down properly, and I kept failing. And I was like, this system doesn't work. And I'm like, well, let's make these tasks just so easy that anyone could get them done. And that way I build that momentum with the small wins. And then I can start changing the tasks. And then you get better at what the tasks mean and like which tasks to put in there. Because sometimes you'll put the dumbest task. You're still getting it done, but it's like, okay, what does this create for me? What's the impact part of the equation that I'm multiplying with this consistency? It's like, it's just not big enough. So then you start identifying what you can do for a higher impact. But I would say make it easy at first, so that's really easy to do. It almost doesn't change anything in your day other than you're now tracking something, is my recommendation.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Also, I would end with, if we're done, double down on the days that you feel unworthy, tired, I don't have a purpose behind this, because that's where the real work happens. The real work to save your momentum happens when you just don't want to do it at all, which I guess is discipline. But when you have you think there's no reason to do this. I've done this a million times, and there's nothing that's coming from it. I can't see the end. I mean, you have kind of clarity and vision problems there for yourself that you should address. But everyone gets there to that point. Everybody has a day. Like I've had probably 5 or 6 of those days this year. And I just do it knowing that if I don't do it, my momentum will drop. And I just get it done. Sometimes I just need to sleep, so I'll sleep. But other than that, it's like just if you're ready to, if you're not so tired where you're going to collapse, just go do the thing and then go take a nap, because it won't take you that long to finish it out, right? So I don't know. Do what works for you, but watch out for those days, because one day could be an impassable object, and then one day could be a down day, and then all of a sudden you're 3 days behind. So don't let the down days that you can control be part of that equation. Let the days you can't control, because sometimes things do come across and slap you in the face, and then it's like, I physically cannot be doing the things I need to do because there's this thing in my way. That's rare, so that's okay that those days come. Just don't add to it. So I'll leave you with that.
Awesome. Yeah, so momentum, create it, maintain it, and keep up that consistency and raise the impact to build more momentum.
Yeah, eventually you'll have created so much momentum that when you come across like the brick wall, the figurative brick wall in your way that you'd normally stop you in your tracks, you're going to blow right through it. And if it stops you, you know how to grab the sledgehammer and start brick by brick, right? Knocking the shit down again, because you've done it before.